Well, welcome once again to another AboutBeverages.com podcast. It's a live on location podcast. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Keith. And as we said, AboutBeverages.com. This is part 2 of our conversation with Scott and Rebecca Safford of Tap and Bottle. Certainly one part was not going to be enough for this great time that we had with them. They graciously opened some bottles for us, poured some drafts, and just shared their time and shared Tap and Bottle with us, which was a lot of fun.
That's a good way to put it. And actually, not to give too much away, but it wasn't even enough to be contained within 2 podcasts.
That's right.
So, yeah, there'll be a third one. The third will be the final, because they always say 3's the charm. So, in this one, we went and expanded our area just a little bit. That sounded dirty. I didn't mean it to come out that way. But we widened our range of what kind of beers we were going to be trying, and we went out of state, but beers that were new to coming into Tucson from out of state.
That's right. Last week were breweries that were new to Tucson, and this time some of these beers actually are available in Phoenix. In fact, I think they're all available in Phoenix already.
Believe so.
But hadn't made their way down here yet, and due to some hard work of at least one of their employees, and obviously Scott and Rebecca, their networking, and they were able to get not only these beers, but many other beers have found their way down here and onto their shelves.
Yeah, so let's just get right to it and enjoy a couple more beers with Tap and Bottle.
The magic of editing, yes.
Yeah.
Rebecca left for a few minutes, but she's back now.
She's back now, and she's brought 2 more things.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one up that we're going to try is Hangar 24. It's a new brewery. They're not a new brewery. They're 3 years old, but new to Arizona. They're out of Redlands, California. And this is a Venacious. It's an old ale, and it is brewed with red California grapes and then aged in oak barrels. So
Wow.
And the color, I love that color. And it's a little murky. And
Yeah.
It is murky.
Looks unfiltered.
You know what I noticed more toward the top is just a hint of like red.
Yeah.
There's like definitely a little.
You can see the influence of those red wine grapes.
Yeah, you don't get it as much looking straight through it, but toward the top, I kind of get. You can kind of parse through some of the red.
Reminds me like of the color-wise, just like an English ale or something
Yeah.
like that, which you normally see in the glass. Just like I said, from a color standpoint.
Have you tried it? Is this the first time you're trying it, Scott? Or you tried it when we had a party? So yeah, last week we had a party for them kicking off their arrival in Arizona, and we had about 5 of their beers on tap. And again, a wide variety, a couple IPAs. We have this one. We had an orange wheat. And a chocolate porter. And they're, again, 3 years old. And the reason why they're called Hangar 24 is they are brewing in an old airplane hangar.
Oh, that's
Really?
cool.
So I would love to go visit.
That
Now,
sounds really
is it
cool.
only on like in kegs that it's available, or is it available bottle-wise?
No, bottles as well. So
Okay.
we don't have this one in bottle yet. It's coming next week.
Okay.
We have their double IPA.
And their single IPA.
And the single
Betty
IPA right now.
IPA, and then
Okay.
the double IPA. I think it's called the Hangar 24 double IPA. So
Yeah, might need to warm up a little bit.
I was gonna say, I'm not getting anything jumping out at me quite yet from the aroma, but it could because I haven't let the head die down and it's not coming through. Are you? What do you guys get?
I get a little bit of fruit coming through in the
Okay.
aroma. But actually, what I just realized, too, what is very distracting is just the ridiculous selection that I'm staring at.
know, it is.
Well, no, and actually what it was, I saw a guy walk over and he just picked up a 120-minute dogfish, and I remembered, I have to get one of those before I leave.
We'll remind you, don't
Yes.
worry.
Okay. I only,
Especially because it costs about $10.
I was going to say, I only see maybe 1 or 2 sitting there. So
now we have
I-
more in the back.
Okay.
We
I
got
was gonna say,
2 cases.
Do I need to put a green tag on that one or something?
No.
Okay.
I think you're good.
Please remind me, 'cause that's one I do need to get. But yeah, no, nothing like super aromatic. Like it actually kind of reminds me of what's that dog? I've had a dogfish recently that had they used the Pinot Noir beer. Oh, the
61 minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of that in
Yeah.
there where you kind
I
of
like
get
the 61.
some of the essence of the grape, but not
This
like
is
it's not super
definitely
fruity.
more hazy.
Yeah.
61 minutes. Even though it's purple, it's clear.
Yeah.
And this is definitely has a little more texture to it.
I read, I read something with Sam Calagione from Dogfish. He said that's one that he's actually drinking a lot of right now. Is his 61. Yeah.
I also love red and white that they do as well, which is sort of that marriage of beer and wine together.
Yeah.
So sometimes, our beer that we're serving on tap comes out of the cooler about 38, 40 degrees. So for some of the beers, it's nice to have it sit and warm up.
Yeah, definitely. That's like all over my tongue.
Yeah.
Like it's not focusing on one area. Like I
complex.
initially get like some bitterness at the back, then all of a sudden I get a little bit of fruit, and then it comes back forward, and that's just everywhere.
There's like a sweet grape, almost that as it lingered in my mouth for a little while, that came out. That it was like a.
Is this the one they use? Is it Movedra? Is that
Yes.
the grape that's in here? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was looking at your tap list when we.
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't just pull that out of my hat. But all of a sudden I was like, oh yes,
Like,
I
I
did.
think that these would be the.
I
yeah.
believe this is a. No, not that good.
So yeah, very excited to see Hangar 24 here.
Yeah, I can see as that warms up that those flavors will get because that's
That
actually-
wood
yeah,
and the grape comes through.
they'll come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Probably what you'll start getting more of. The wine will start to come more through as
Yeah.
it warms up a little bit. Is that something you guys try and do? Like if you get in a new whatever, like we were talking about this Hangar 24, is that something you guys focus on? Like, hey, if we get this one in, let's get in a few so that we can do almost like a launch or celebration for, hey, we just got.
Yeah.
Is that kind of
Yeah.
something you guys
If we
look for?
can.
Yeah.
Depending on what's available. But yeah.
But usually we like to, we're here to honor the beer and celebrate the beer. So if we can throw a new brewery or a new to Arizona brewery a party, and our tradition is to either myself or if there's someone here from the brewery, hop up on the bar, talk a little bit about the beer, cheers to that new beer, and yeah.
That's
Fun
very
time.
cool.
Yeah.
How long had you guys been thinking about opening this place? Before you guys opened in
Last
June of last year?
Yeah.
Okay, June of
About
2013.
9 months in.
So even in its early amoebic state, when did you guys think, hey, we could do this, and then, oh my gosh, we're going to do this? I mean, how long has it been?
We always, I think maybe everybody does this. You have a few beers and then you start talking about your fantasy of, hey, we're going to open a brewery, we love beer, or hey, we're going to open a beer bar, we love beer. So we, have been having those conversations for a long time. We have many different ideas of spots that we wanted to open up. And then, we travel a lot. We both love beer. We love visiting breweries. And so it's been a conversation for a long time. But as
Yeah.
far as like saying it's going to happen, a couple
Maybe
years.
a year before we opened.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
like the day that we were like, we are going to get back to town and work as hard as we can to make this happen was a New Year's Eve in San Diego at Tornado Brewery. They had I don't know how many beer tap takeover.
I think it was a 62 Pizza Port tap takeover
Wow.
on New Year's Eve.
Pizza port, no less?
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And we we had a IPA flight of 9 IPAs that we had never had before. And it was pretty unbelievable. And we were like, okay, why isn't there a bar like this in Tucson? And there's so many places that have craft beer, but maybe they're a restaurant that's focusing on craft beer. But just sort of the idea of the bottle shop and
Right.
having a 20 plus tap list too. We wanted to bring that here, so that was when we were like, it's going to happen. We're going to make this happen. Let's at least get back.
We didn't even know if it was
legal.
legal in Arizona to do that.
Since there isn't one, you're always kind of wondering, like, is there a
why
reason
has
we
no
can't
one
do
done
this?
this?
Right.
And then we heard like Papago and up in Phoenix and Top Hops, Pay and Take and Flagstaff were doing something similar. So we did some little trips and saw somehow it was legal, and we wanted to figure out how to do the bottles and the taps together.
So you guys are not only living your dream, you're living the dream as far as
We don't sleep, so
yeah, but
Well, there's always the picking up broken glassware and cleaning tap lines every week, and
that's the non-glamorous.
yeah,
So what's the bad side? Everyone
Yeah.
out there is like, well, I'm going to do that now. So so is that just that kind of thing? Like, maybe, or what was the thing? So you were most excited about doing this, bringing it to Tucson. So what was the thing maybe you didn't realize that, like, I didn't know this was the other side, and not necessarily financial, but just like, what was the other, like, oh, this is kind of wasn't ready for this part, but I'll get through it, whatever that might be.
Is there something like that?
Is there something like that?
I think it's, at least for me, it's like, this is the good part right here. We get to sit around and talk about great beer and be with awesome people. I think the hard part is like the leading up to that, so keeping this cooler stocked.
Yeah.
Scott can attest to it takes a lot of work, and it's not just ordering. It's
so we have 20 kegs on tap, and sometimes up to 20 more on backup, depending on what day of the week. And we have 500 bottles on our shelves, and it's all kept in a 20 by 8 cooler.
And then you want to make sure that beer doesn't go out of code, and you want to make sure that, everything is tasting as it should and as best as possible.
So, yeah, and with all the new breweries like Hangar 24 and Iron Johns that are coming into our realm, we're running out of space. I mean, every bottle is one wide already. I can't go any less than that. So we're going to have to make choices about...
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
And some stuff will come and go. Some stuff will probably be here all the time.
Do you guys ever do like if, say, if something gets squeezed out and it's somebody's favorite and they come in and they say, would you order me a case of that? Would
course.
you do that? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I wasn't, Hey, you used to...
What?
Well, the thing, that we...
Yeah.
Why don't you carry my favorite beer anymore?
Yeah, because that's got to be the biggest thing is like, what? You don't... That was my favorite. Like, well, I'm sorry, you're the only one that bought that one.
Yeah. We haven't
great.
had a lot of that yet. Our stock just rotates kind of constantly all the time. We run out of great sellers, not on purpose. And, it's a week before it comes back. And then magically something else runs out by then and it takes its spot. So it kind of works itself out by attrition. But eventually now I can start to see that the cooler doors are very full, and we can't order anything. We can't order a new IPA until we decide not to carry another one.
Right.
So,
well, I just want to, speaking for your customers, that attention to detail is greatly appreciated. Things like looking at codes and keeping it fresh. I mean, I'm sure your hardcore customers and even every customer on a certain level knows.
Are you referencing my Twitter rant from the other day?
You mean the?
Ooh, do tell.
Wow, that sounds like gossip.
No, that was from the other. I won't name names, but there was a place here in town that I was perusing their bottles, and they were selling fresh hop IPA, and the date was 2012, and they had 7 of them on the shelf, and that irked me to no end. So I actually was
It should.
Sure.
tweeted to the different powers that be that you should, and they.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was taken off the shelf, but then they have 3 or 4 others that are that way too. There's an anniversary ale that Keith and I always talk about from Port Brewing.
Oh, we have it.
But it's probably not out of.
No, we're having a debate about it.
We're having a debate about it. It was brewed 9 months ago.
Yes,
Right.
that's actually the one.
It's a 10% alcohol beer. Is it going to hold up because of that high alcohol?
I think that part will, but it was also like a hoppy pale ale or something like that. So I think it's going to be getting a little more.
I don't know if it's There was a debate whether it was a strong ale that would hold up, because Arrogant Bastard, they
right. And that's a different. Yeah, and there's things that can hold up longer or meant to be aged. That's a different. Like I said, I guess for some reason that's the one I always think of when I see an IPA that's that far.
Yeah, 6 months is generally the
rule. So who's winning out on
this?
this debate?
Well, it's cold right now.
No, it's back on the shelf. I've had a lot of people buy it, I think, because they've never seen it before, and I don't know why it took so long to get here.
I remember we had it because we did a podcast on it when it first came out, and then it was gone, and then it was all of a sudden there was stock of it again. It's actually because there was another place I was at, a different place, and they had the 17th anniversary from Stone.
Which should
you
should not be drinking.
There's 30 of them.
Yeah, and it tells
at
you
a local large type retail, rhymes with Posco.
Yeah,
there's 20 or 30 of them there. Of the 17th anniversary, and it's
Stone tells you.
You can actually send a tweet to Greg Cook.
That one says drink fresh, and it said brewed August 2013. But see, the only reason in my head I was kind of like, well, this might be a little bit because it's more of a dank European kind of IPA. It's not like the whole
that Rodenbacher.
But like I said, when it comes to some sort of anniversary or something, that always is kind of weird to me when it's still sitting.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I found out of code beer on our shelf that went out of code before we opened.
And that totally can happen too.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
Because you were trying each one. You were going there, I got to check this one.
Yes,
And you were drinking it. Okay.
No, yeah. I'm I don't think this amber should be on our shelf any longer. It was out of code 9 months before we opened. So it was how did that slip by?
All right, so this is the Hangar 24 that we're about to. We've got another new to Tucson beer.
So this one, referring back to the story I already told about Andy, who works in our bottle shop, really, championing, really wanting this beer. So Logsdon is out of Oregon. I think it's Hood River. I'm not sure. I might have to look that up. Somewhere in Oregon. And
there's a place in Oregon, and this brewery is near it.
Scott's going to go grab one of their bottles. So we have 3 of their bottles, and then this one that we have the tap of is a Saison Bretta. So it is wonderful.
Now you said Bretta. Are they actually using
Brettanomyces? Yeah.
They are using Bretta. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So they're using Bretta, and
Okay. Thank you.
Our entire staff is freaking out about this beer. The bottles were gone. We went through 12 bottles in like
2 days.
2 days.
And it is out of Hood River, Oregon, and the regular Saison is certified organic, so
is
maybe
this
they're
one as well.
they're an
Yeah.
organic brewery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, I told them how this one is the Saison with the Brett added. So
Brettanomyces.
See, and that's what, like, Brett
Bruxellus?
specifically, when you're talking about the weird funky critters that go in, like, your sour beer, that was the one I never was a big fan of, because everyone I always had always went toward the barnyard funky Brett.
yeah.
Little horse blanket.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, but then I can't remember I had one recently from Omegang, does that Wild at Heart, which is an all Brettanomyces fermentation.
Mm-hmm.
I've not had
And that
it.
one was great because it was more toward passion fruit and a little bit of fruit and those kind of characteristics. So it was just, it's just all about how you use it,
Yeah.
which goes for a lot of things in life. I know the joke was there.
Yeah, I'll grab the bottle too so you all can see one of them. They're very pretty.
Does it smell like dill pickle?
What's that?
Dill pickle? Did you get some dill in there?
Yeah.
Really?
I get some dill.
There is a little bit of dill, and there's like it's
my God.
actually you know what it's like. It reminds me of like a sweet pickle.
Okay.
There's some sweet. Yeah.
There's a little bit of sweetness in there.
That'd be like a briny sort of. Yeah.
Oh, and the aroma. Yeah, that is definitely like a sweet pickle. Like a sweet pickle. It's
Great.
Oh, wow.
And this is what I love about having, 20 beers on tap is this is so vastly different from the beer that we just tried.
Yes.
And then we haven't even hit the old favorites like IPAs or blondes or anything. It's like, okay, these are two totally different
It's so light
beers.
and tangy and just
Yeah.
that is amazing.
I'm digging your 70s music vibe we got going on right too.
Little-
70s, early 80s.
Little Hall & Oates Pandora
There's some Hall
Station.
& Oates, yeah, we got some Ambrosia right now.
Yeah.
That's good. All right.
That is so good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Now, when we say like sweet pickle or pickle, some people might go, what? And that could surprise, but I'm fine with smelling that in there. It doesn't, to me that works. This reminds me the aroma of, there was a kombucha beer we tried. Remember?
Which one, the
at
most
Bruce's-
recent one or
no,
the-
at Bruce's place.
Oh,
And
is it a Unity vibration? Like one of
it
those?
was one of those,
Yeah.
but it was...
This one wasn't from Unity, although we've done a couple of those on the podcast.
It was something that the guy had brought back from a place in San Diego, I
Yeah.
thought. I remember we were like, oh my God, this is like...
It smelled like a deli sandwich.
Deli sandwich.
It smelled like a
Wow.
kosher
Yeah.
pickle, and it had
I
like
get some of that
pastrami,
from this, but-
and there was
Oh, I love
mustard.
that.
It was insane. But like to us, and sometimes like to me, those words like mean more than when someone's like, well, I get notes of this. That.
Sure.
It's like if you say sweet pickle, I know what that means.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
that's just always kind of interesting. Like when I taste things at where I work, you get a lot of, like I said, the owner where I work, he's from the farm, so there's a lot of times either, well, this reminds me of this hay that I used to chew on, or this reminds me of, so it's always kind of what your personal background is.
Sure.
Sometimes that's what jumps out to you, because someone else might smell that and say it smells like daffodils or something.
I like then when it's on your palate, it's not that savory. You get the Brett, and then you get some fruit. It turns to that then when it's on your palate. So that's wow. But that's not this bottle. This was the tap. Okay.
Saison. This is the straight up Saison, and
Okay.
this is the Saison Bretta.
With the Brett.
With the
Okay.
Bretta.
Yeah.
All right.
So
So if you wanted to avoid the Brett, you wanted more of a fresh take on it without the bacteria.
And Brett can go too far for me sometimes, but that does not. That's like
Yeah.
Yeah, no. See,
That
that's the
nails
good
it.
side of Brett. Like I said, that's the fruit.
nails
That's
it.
like there's a little lemon back there. There's a lot of different things going on. That's fantastic.
But I feel like this beer right here and a lot of the beers that we've been bringing in and putting on tap is our customers and a lot of people on our staff are just huge fans of anything slightly sour to full-on like sour bombs. Like they
To
want
the funky barrel-aged
Yeah.
stuff as well. So
I think that's really, it's become almost the new IPA. It's like the thing that's starting to get a groundswell of like, once some people get that flavor, they're like, well, that's the new weird thing. Like that's
Yeah.
the thing I want,
Yeah.
Where everyone's still making their hot bombs and everything
Yeah.
else too, which are great. But it's like, I think that's the new groundswell of like, if you
Yeah.
want to be really super craft, because everyone can see when I do this
Sure.
on a audio podcast.
yes,
the quotation
My
marks, air
quotation
quotes.
marks. I think that's the thing. Is like, oh yeah, they do but they also do a sour.
Yeah.
They do
Yeah.
this barrel aged thing. They do,
I think
that's-
Russian River is a great example of that with the double and triple IPAs that are off the charts, as well as those great sour beers
Yeah.
that they do. So barrel aged and
But yeah, we can't keep the sours on the shelf. Like when we get new ones in, they're gone. We have people that'll come in and say, "What new ones do you have? I want them." Like, just bring it on.
Yeah. Well, and that's the kind of, and it will maybe get into this a little bit too, like what you guys do from a certification standpoint. I know you guys are certified beer tasters, is that? And there's other
We're
certified beer servers in the Cicerone program.
Okay.
So we have a few on our staff studying for the next level, which would be a certified Cicerone.
That's
So I think there's a test coming up, possibly in the area in August. We're shooting for,
and that's why it's neat for us to talk. Even like with you guys, you have that experience. Our experience started out with coffee, but we took that and we've applied it to everything we try. Within each industry, there are certain little nuances, and like when we use the term sour when we're talking about coffee is totally different than when you're talking about sour in the beer realm.
Sure.
In bitterness,
and so so it's for the most part, as long as you are open to accepting. Okay, all right, I see what this person means when they say this term. You get past that kind of stuff.
I don't know. I feel beer there's not a lot of structure to it, like compared to like wine. So I don't know how coffee is, but people just make up words, I feel, with beer, and that's great, like...
Well, and that's what we encourage people to do, like from our staff to when you're talking to people about beer, like you can describe it exactly how you taste it, there's not like defined words that you have to use. Like, yes, we all know what ABV is and IBU, and we know, this has this or this has that, but like, how does it taste to you? Like you said about like, this tastes like sweet pickles, this tastes like... this is, it's like, what does it remind you of? What does it taste like? So
sometimes I'll get a beer from the Midwest, and I'll be like, it tastes like the Midwest. And it's the water.
We do that with a lot of the European beers we have. We think there's that certain little note in there that reminds us of certain European
There's
regions.
a very like high alkalinity to their water or something like that. 'Cause you always get like copper penny and metal and different things like that.
And a lot of those beers are hundreds of years old, and they've styled the recipe after the water minerality or lack thereof.
They have to deal still with laws. Like there's all those European purity law, all those different things that they have to work around. So.
Yes.
We were excited yesterday because we had, I think because of the street fair going on, a few people that were in town from Germany.
Yeah.
And we had people from Germany impressed with our German beer selection and saying there was beers that they couldn't find in Germany that are German here. Nice. And we were baffled.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, the street fair is frustrating from a parking standpoint, but it was fun last night. I saw like 2 or 3 people taking pictures of our cooler, and that's always a good sign.
Yeah.
Like this is, whether they're from out of town or out of country, it's pretty cool when that happens. So.
Now, from a flight standpoint, I know you guys offer different flights tasting. There are some, though, that are not everyone is included, right, in your flights, or
yeah. So we really love having flights here because people can try 4 different things, and it just seems to be a lot of fun. You can discuss it, but then there's just some beer that it's already $10 for a 10-ounce pour, and so if it goes in the flight, we can't really do it. So then we encourage them just buy a 5-ounce. Of this beer, we can do that. So there's just some that it's just so expensive.
I mean, we deal with beers, and from me, because I deal with spreadsheets here, from 7 cents an ounce cost to above 35 cents an ounce cost. So that's the disparity that you kind of deal with.
Okay.
And
is that something where you've ever talked about doing like a premium line, like for people that are like whacked out geeks that like I only want to try
like Andrew and
sours that are that are like, well,
and most of those are in 10-ounce pours anyway, so it's a pretty small pour, and we do have the 5-ounce glasses, so we just tell our bartenders if people want it, just take it in half and give them the 5-ounce pour. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We're pretty flexible.
That's nice that you offer that.
And we'll change anything. Like, we put it in the appropriate size we think is good, so whether it's 16, 13, or 10, but we can change the size and then adjust the price accordingly.
Oh, that's
if
really
someone
cool.
wants a 10-ounce pour of a 16-ounce beer, I just don't feel like a whole pint of that. Or,
oh, wow. Okay.
Well, that's really flexible. That's cool.
Yeah, or that's in a 13-ounce. I want a 16-ounce because I'm going to drink a pint because I want a proper pint. No problem.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, well, that's really cool.
That's great to know.
That's nice.
We just put it in the proper size, or the glass in the proper glass, based on cost, how rare it is, how strong it is,
right.
Intensity of flavors, and would you want to drink 16 ounces of this beer, or would you want a little bit less because it's this or that, or it's really going to be it's going to be $17 if we put it in a pint glass. So,
but that's cool to know though that somebody could say, yes, I do want to drink 16 ounces of this beer, and yes, I will pay you more, and you guys are like, okay,
sure.
Sure.
And some of it's just rare. We'll get like 5 gallons, and we don't really want to.
You want to have as many people to try it as
You want to make sure
possible.
the people that are really into that beer.
Yeah,
get to have
and
that
we
beer.
often will wait and put those kegs, tap those kegs on Monday or Tuesday, and not on a weekend day on purpose. So they will last a few days. So if someone can't make it down on a certain day, they have a good chance of trying it if they're wanting to.
That's really cool.
So
I guess that's where we'll end this part, part 2 of our AboutBeverages.com podcast, our live on location version with Tap and Bottle. I thought that was really interesting. We talked about at the end about actually being able to choose different size options of your beer. You don't have to get whatever size that they think. If you, for some reason, want basically a double of something, or if you want a half size, you can do it.
Well, it's cool that at least they are willing to work with their customer and provide them that level of service and say, hey, yeah, sure, if you want to try something a little, different size of this, do a different type of flight, they'll work with you to make that happen.
So to wrap things up, if anyone is interested in finding out more about Tap and Bottle or even our website, you can go to AboutBeverages.com, or you can actually go right to the source and go to thetapandbottle.com and see what other events they've got coming up in the future. I actually should have looked at their calendar. I did not. So you will have to do that for us. You'll have to do the research and let us know what we should be doing at Tap and Bottle in the next month or so.
You can subscribe to their newsletter, and you get that. I think that comes out once a month.
Yes, it does. Thanks for listening, and see you next week with part 3.